I've got a horrible feeling you mean throw them away.
Yes, exactly.
Any one of these could turn out to be a classic fragrance that the world would love.
Yeah, well, I have to decide. I have to decide.
But some of those could be, another Eau Sauvage or a Shalimar or a Terre d'Hermès.
Maybe, maybe.
I'm very shocked by that cupboard. In there, great things, never to see the light of day. This is what makes great perfume so costly. The ingredients are expensive, development's a fortune, and the creator kills all his babies. When it does emerge, this fragrance will become someone's scent signature, provoking memories of them whenever it's smelled, forever after.
I'm outside my parents' bedroom. She had like a dressing room. My mother, before she went out at night, it'd just always be this lovely, warm smell. It evokes in me associations of glamour, of what I associated when my mum was getting ready. That child's vision of the most beautiful princess, and at that point that was my mother. And so I suppose that scent encapsulated not only memories of my mother, but also evoke feelings of safety and comfort, I suppose.
To work their magic, perfumers at the Nose School must learn to recognise a vast palette of scent notes. In their 3 years here, they don't actually make any fragrance. It's just one giant chemistry lesson.
First, they've got to learn, the raw material. It is like the alphabet.
All scents are a combination of odorous chemical elements suspended in alcohol. There's a lot to learn.
You have to memorize about 500 raw materials and to learn how to mix them in order to create something good.
Along with endless smelling, there are countless tests. Quentin is the only student with no previous experience of chemistry.
What I don't like is when they come to see me without having worked enough, because then we lose time and I get upset.
He's been given the task of identifying individual ingredients in solution and deciding their relative concentrations.
What amount did you have to find?
10 for the coriander.
That's okay.
Okay. Black pepper, 5.
That's okay as well.
Okay. Nutmeg, I say 10.
That's okay as well.
Okay.
Missing a woody product, not very far from cedar wood.
Okay. Could it be Kephalis?
No.
Cedral, something
Cedral.
like that? Cedral.
It is cedral.
Ah, okay.
Very good.
I have a really hard time finding them, I must admit.
He's a good student.
My dream is to smell a perfume I've created on somebody in the street or in the subway or at the theater, and that's a dream.
Linda is further along the course and has a more complex task, dissecting the chemical elements of accords or blends of notes.
Linda, she has learned the raw material. Now she learned, how to mix it.
Hedione and hexocinamic aldehyde.
On this one, in fact, there are 3 raw materials. And you have identified 2 out of 3?
Yes. So I identified ylang ecoessence.
Yes.
And isovaldine 70.
Yes, very good. And what is the third one?
Linalool acetate 114, benzyl acetate 116, orontiol 117, and indolene 118.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. So this one, you know, previously it was difficult for you to find indoline.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find a lot of them very difficult. Then 149 to 153, I was missing one raw material.
If you don't know, you know, the raw material, you know, perfectly, then you're losing your time.
The investment in this tiny student body is enormous. They are recruited to fill specific positions in the Givaudan empire, jobs that will be waiting for them when, if, they graduate. Christopher Brosius is in London. He's researching its signature smells for client Sean Crowley's British scent.
England for me is a real sense of eternity.
Lays me down with my mind, she runs throughout the night.
There's an underlying English smell here, which I recognize as London, kind of dirty urban smell.
It's been a while and things have changed. The perfumer's scent memories are unreliable.
Yeah, it's really just boring. You know, the old ones had leather seeds, you know, so they had an inherent smell of their own. And I think from, you know, just like a decade or so of people riding in them, you know, the leather was soaked with a much more interesting smell.
It's changed a lot. There are a lot of things that I noticed that are very, very different.
See, now it doesn't smell the same. I remember them more, I was expecting a more diesel kind of smell.
Never a frown with golden brown.
The scent of phone books hanging in the phone boxes. You know, like they were always there on the chain, generally like battered to hell. A couple of them smelled absolutely dreadful. Apparently there was no public gentleman's convenience nearby. I realized it's like, you know, that phone book smell is gone. It's just like the dodo, a thing of the past.
Client Sean Crowley was thinking mildewed frock coats and hansom cabs, but they're extinct. At least the pubs are still clinging on.
Could I have a pint of black sheep, please? There is only the smell of beer in here. There is no longer the smell of smoke.
That's it, thanks.
I remember, you know, like when I was much younger, the first pub that I ever went into, it was to barely see the barkeep on the other side of the counter.
It's a very London thing. Problem is, this is not something that is going to translate well into something that can be worn. I mean, think about the scent of Stilton cheese. It's a wonderful smell. You would not want to be anywhere near a person who smelled like Stilton cheese. They're not things that you can really put on the human body and it's going to smell alluring in any way. I have a client who's an actress with a director that she'd never worked with before, and apparently on the first day of rehearsal, he pulled her aside and said, drinking isn't going to be a problem with you, is it? And she said, well, no, why do you ask? And he said, well, you really smell like whiskey a lot. And she said, oh, no, it's not that I've been drinking, it's my perfume. And she actually had to bring in the bottle to the next rehearsal to show him so that he would believe her. And I thought, ooh, you know, that's not something that I'd really considered before, but it's definitely something to be mindful of.
Was it one of your perfumes?
Yes, it was.
Alcohol is risky. Dairy is a no-no. Sean Crowley's scent may be unattainable.
The smell of a bus seat, the scent of wet London pavement, the inside of a taxi cab. You know, I need to be able to have all of those little bits and pieces that can be assembled to create something that is really, for Sean, his ultimate London experience.
Much of what perfumer and client were after has evaporated over time. But there is one smell that will be forever England.
You know what? Different books from different countries smell slightly different from different periods. English books have a very particular smell because it's so humid here. It really does kind of saturate things. These were books that lived in libraries where it was humid for decade upon decade upon decade. For heaven's sake. Or there was a wood fire that was burned routinely. I mean, but all of that soaks into the paper and the binding and the glue. These English books smell like England because that's where they are.
Could a book from the right era have the right smell? Does an edition of Bleak House smell of old floorboards?
We've got some of Dickens' first editions.
Oh, really? Interesting. Could I just smell one of those?
Of course.
What I'll be doing for Sean is creating things that are a London that no longer exists. Oh, I see. A P.G. Wodehouse experience of England.
It's in 1862.
Mm-hmm.
In September, Jean-Claude Elena takes his ideas for the garden on the roof scent to his employers in Paris. This fragrance must be a liquid expression of quality, craft and provenance. Wearers must smell it and know it's more than just expensive. He may have complete creative freedom, but even Elena has a client to please. The general manager of Hermès Perfumes, Catherine Fulconis.
Oui, je voulais te montrer les derniers essais du jardin.
Elena has bought two possible versions of his scent, romantically named 52 and 53.
Et ça sort du flacon, c'est bien.
C'est incroyable, hein, le
voilà.
peut avoir ce 0,52.
Celle-là un peu étouffée.
Un peu étouffé.
Un peu,
53, il y a un peu dansant, il y a un peu virevoltant, il est très joyeux. Il était bon aussi, mais je trouve que par rapport à notre propos du jardin,
c'est plus sympa comme ça.
Voilà, nous emmène vraiment ailleurs. Un peu d'en manger avec le 53, il y a un côté assez...
un côté un peu croquant.
Croquant. Délicieux. Il est délicieux.
Non, ça donne... On va le suivre, hein, on va le...
Ah ouais. Mais là, je trouve qu'on y est, hein. On y est.
Now, Elena reveals a surprise, a third scent idea, something that survived the cleaning out of his cupboard.
Jean-Claude, tu n'as pas de fleurs.
Ce qui était le plus difficile, c'est le côté garder la fraîcheur, soutenir la fraîcheur longtemps comme ça.
Est-ce que tu crois? que tu peux continuer à accentuer peut-être toutes ces petites facettes, feuilles froissées.
Oui.